So, Ghost and Pals is one of my favorite artists ever, and when I saw this iceberg chart, I knew I had to make a video covering it, as I think I'm kind of knowledgeable about the topics mentioned. If you somehow don't know what an iceberg is, it's a short way to sort information from most known to least known. Credits to techies underscore one Lou Love on Reddit for making the iceberg. Let's go. Let's start with the sky. Tier 1. YouTube channel. Ghost and Pencil's primary account is their YouTube channel going by the same handle. They have had different accounts in the past, but most of them have been deleted. Animation memes. Ghost and Pals songs are very popular in the animation meme community, some examples being Radio Meme and Trypophobia. Creepy collaboration. Ghost has collaborated with ex-Vocaloid producer Creepy numerous times, Noah Kane, Hyperdonsha, Love, etc. Plushies. Team 6x111 has collaborated with Makeshift and they've made 4 plushies in total. Tamari, Tamari Glow in Dark, Miriam, Miriam Glow in Dark plushies. Ghosts has made videos on almost every plushie to boost his popularity and they were a huge success. I own the Tamari and Miriam plushies myself, here's a picture. And we're moving on to Tier 2. Other socials. These include Ghost and Pals' Twitter and SoundCloud accounts. They used to have a Tumblr, a Patreon, and DeviantArt, but they were deactivated, along with many other websites that I'm not gonna be listing. SoundCloud second account. Ghost's primary SoundCloud account is used for posting their original songs to SoundCloud, but they use a second account to post shitposts.
Let me in. SoundCloud, let me in. Let me in.
Team 6x111. Team 6x111 features a lot of artists from the vocal OP scene. These include Vane, Ghost, Monstrosity, Angel Face, Ophelia, 11 Bane, Carbon Monoxide, RIP, Okavri. Pulled directly from the Toy Shop website, Team 6x111 is a group of musicians, artists, who tell stories through music that is vocal synths. We are currently working on 2 projects. To Hell and Back, a song series about what happens after death. To Hell and Back has 5 songs as of right now. I'm not counting the To Hell and Back retrospective because it's not really a song. These include A Crow's Trial, Devil's Casino, which is about the head of the Department of Greed, This Is My Heart, which is about the head of the Department of Lust, Perfectly Sweet, which is about the head of the Department of Gluttony, the other one left, and I Love You, Miho. I think that's how it's pronounced, I'm not sure. I find To Hell and Back's lore a bit confusing because I have tiny brain, but Carbon Monoxide wrote a summary, so shout out to them, as it's great. The afterlife was split into 3 different sects. There was Heaven, run by God, otherwise known as Karina. There was Hell, run by the Devil, also known as Lucifer. Purgatory existed somewhere in the middle, controlled equally by the 2 and deemed to be something of a waiting room, where souls were suspended until their judgment. It was a very simple system. The good go to heaven, the bad go to hell. So intuitive, a child would be able to figure it out. That being said, every now and again, someone would come along with rather unique circumstances that put into question the integrity of the system. These people were often given a spot in hell, either as office workers working a usual 9 to 5, or spared from eternal torture by becoming the demons that Max is torturing. Spared from perpetual suffering, but under the condition that they have to spin the wheels of the system. Perhaps for these individuals, it was a life not too dissimilar to that on Earth's. That was a lot. Quali Automata, a song series about censored. Here's a summary provided by Carbon Monoxide, once again. Tamari, a prototype android powered by AI, longs to prove their humanity to their creator, Dr. Fairoz Khalid? I don't know. And a second prototype, Miriam. When Tamari goes missing without explanation, Miriam is faced with the nature of family, humanity, and reality itself as they search to understand the siblings' antics. Damon/Doll. Damon/Doll is a fan-album project in collaboration with 10 overseas vocal OPs, which include Ghost, for the 1-year anniversary of Kasanse to AI. I will put the link below so you can check it out if you want. Tier 3. Character AI bots. On Character AI, there used to be a lot of Ghost and Pals character chat bots. Ghost expressed contempt for these bots and requested them to be taken down. Most have been, but some are still around. Cats. As far as I know, Ghost had 3 cats, Eddie, Bean, Missy. Missy had an entire voice band consisting of her meows and trills. Unfortunately, she passed away on 2022. Rest in peace, Missy. Mars Mitzi / Ghosty. Credits to Hamburger313 on Vocaloid Fandom Wiki. Ghosty and Mars Mitzi were both aliases of Ghost at one point. Ghosty was active from 2013 to 2014, and Mars was active from 2014 to 2015 and so on. The reason Ghost never brings up these aliases is simply because they, in theory, don't want to be compared to their old work, which I understand. I know it's wrong to listen to re-uploads of songs Ghost deleted on purpose, but goddamn are there gems in this collection of old songs. Also, I feel like I need to mention that another reason Ghost doesn't want to be reminded of their past is because it is unpleasant and brings up bad memories, I think. Just my guess. Archive. To put it simply, there's a community of people who archive Ghost's past and present works. These include songs, drawings, writings, tweets, Tumblr posts, YouTube descriptions, etc. Ghost and their friend group hate this part of the fandom as their actions often blur the lines between being a fan and harassing Ghost. It's like really weird. I don't want to talk too much about it, so. Communications. For this part, I will just be reading the comments left by Ghost on a communications re-upload. Hello to the tubed you. It's 1 AM on a Saturday morning and I'm going to talk about communications, hopefully for the last time, because in the past I didn't do a very good job of keeping my previous talks about it in a very conveniently accessible, all compiled in one place, and because of that, some people heard what I had to say and some missed. I don't want people to miss out, so I hope this is a good place to put this. If you don't know what communications was, I'll try to nutshell explain real quick. It was a song series I started back in early 2016 and cancelled in mid-2017. It's comprised of Rotary Dial, Black and White, Housewife Radio, and Broadcast Illusion, in that order. And while Color Bars is technically related, it wasn't an official part of the series. TLDR, I was going to use Color Bars, didn't like the song enough, so I made a new song that basically tells the same story. While small summaries of what each song specifically covered were in the original descriptions, a majority of the story was kept pretty much contained to my now deleted Tumblr account, and pretty much only the people who paid attention to that blog knew the most about the story. I talked a lot about what I planned on doing, a majority of which didn't get put into a song before I cancelled the project. Personally, I didn't want to retell the story. Both the stuff that was in the video descriptions, stuff that was only on Tumblr, and stuff I never talked about publicly. I know doing so would clear up any misunderstandings / contradicting info and give context to what I'm talking about, but I'd still rather not. A lot of other people and I have had a lot of valid criticisms against communications. And while I know there's some nuance concerning liking something you acknowledge objectively bad / problematic, I personally don't want to be the one to introduce more people to the series since I currently have over twice as many subscribers as I had when I cancelled it, I think. I can't remember how many I had back then, but it was definitely under 100k. That's just my personal preference, and I hope you can understand. So here's where I fucked up. My plans for communication started out as a 3-song, really shallow story. I didn't have much of anything in mind for it other than this happens and then this happens sort of story, but as more people showed deeper interest in the story and asked questions about it, I started fleshing things out more. It quickly turned into what I planned to be a 12-song series broken into 4 separate stories called cases. Now, what I did was make the mistake of not thinking at all before I did any of this. I improvised answers to questions without really thinking about how it connected to the story. I didn't give an ounce of thought into how each aspect of the story would reflect on each other. I didn't try to predict what sorts of meanings people could draw from the series. I know that anyone can come up with any interpretation of my stories they want, and that's kind of out of my control. But to an extent, I do want to make sure my stories couldn't easily be interpreted as something harmful or offensive. Just like, I mean it literally when I say my communications was entirely improvised. And improvisation isn't inherently bad, don't get me wrong, but you really need to know what you're doing when you improvise. And unfortunately, knowing what I was doing and 18-year-old me were on completely opposite ends of the globe, we ended up with a story and characters that hardly made any sense. Some characters' developments were flatter than some people think the Earth is, and in more aspects than one were insensitive as hell towards even my own experiences. For context, I base a majority of my songs/series/characters off my own personal experiences. They're not all self-insert levels of similarities, but if you really think about it, you'll notice like 80% of my OCs have abandonment issues and are too emotional for their own good. For just one example out of many others, Nancy was a character with abandonment issues, Henry was a character who had been abused by his mother Frances since childhood, and Kenneth was a character who faced abuse from his peers and emotional neglect from his parents. Except 18-year-old me thought there wasn't gonna be any issues with having Nancy kill someone because of her issues. Having Henry come out relatively untraumatized and not talk publicly nearly enough about how Kenneth's experiences impacted him in adulthood. While it's true that mentally ill people and abuse survivors can do bad things or be bad people, there's a difference between realistic portrayals and overrepresented stigmas. Mentally ill people aren't violent, and in reality are much more likely to face violence than commit it themselves. Yet the scary, dangerous, mentally ill person seems to be the majority of the representation we get. Emotional abuse is often taken way less seriously than it should be due to there not being any physically visible scars. And lastly, if I say a character is something, especially something underrepresented, I should actually show it. I've heard the arguments, but fiction doesn't affect reality that much, over and over again. And I personally disagree. There's plenty of examples of fiction affecting reality. Take for example what Jaws did to sharks. Or a bit closer to this topic, how movies like Psycho and Split affected the public's perception of people with dissociative identity disorder. Even outside of fiction impacting society, it's just my own personal preference to avoid stigmatic portrayals of mental illness in my songs and stories, and I hope that can be respected regardless of your opinion on this particular criticism. Even though the characters in communication stem from my own experiences with mental illness, abuse, and neglect, that doesn't mean I could just do whatever the hell I wanted without giving it much thought. I'm still responsible for how I portray my experiences. I genuinely am sorry to anyone who was hurt by how these characters were handled. You guys deserved a lot better. Since working on communications, I've learned a lot about myself that's changed the way I view my experiences, and for the past couple years, I've been heavily focused on doing everything I can think of to avoid repeating communications. I'd planned a remake of communications to improve all of its flaws, but in the end, I felt a total loss of enjoyment towards the series because I just want to move on and do better, which is why I finally canceled the series. As much as I wish I could turn communication to something that isn't so yikes, I don't see myself working on the story again and actually being happy while doing so. That's really the best way I can explain why I won't be revisiting the story. I hope I can show I've learned from the whole experience through my future story projects. This also brings up a side topic specifically regarding communications as cancellation. I want to say that decision was in no way anyone's fault but my own. At the time, I had experienced feeling pressured when fans would ask, "When is the next work coming out?" and "Why haven't you uploaded a new part yet?" I can't remember exactly what I said, but I said something along the lines of implying that I might cancel the series if people continued pressuring me to finish it faster. Though this wasn't meant as a threat, and more of a "I don't perform well under pressure" statement, I totally understand why people would assume it was meant as a threat and why that would be really hurtful. Especially considering people were asking those questions out of curiosity, not with the intent to pressure me to work faster. I'm really sorry for having said that. That wasn't okay, and I should have handled expressing my concerns with more empathy. I want to make sure it's clear that the final decision to cancel communications wasn't the public's fault at all, just my own loss of interest in the project. I think that's about it. I'll come back to edit this post if I think of anything else to add. Thank you for reading! I'll catch a reminder to drink water and take your meds if you have meds you need to take. Some fans still really like this series. Personally, I'm not sure if I'm one of them. I think it definitely had its flaws, but the music, I think it's good. I know Ghost doesn't like the music of communications. They actually think it's as bad as the plot. I don't really agree, but I get it. It's okay. Fan merchandise. Merchandise by fans. In a Twitter post, Ghost said to not buy unofficial merchandise using their art or bootleg stuff. This includes the Merriman Tamari plushies sold on Amazon and shit like that. If it's your fan art you're selling, it's fair game. Maybe just give Ghost credit, I think. Streams. Ghost used to stream a lot in the past. I personally wasn't there for the streams before 2020. However, I do know that Ghost streamed a lot in 2022. It was very fun, and Ghost actually has a channel dedicated entirely to streams. Yup, streams.
Wait. Nope. Nope. Nut. 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 What? Yep, that's another, Maim, murder, maul, bite.
Ghost did fundraising streams for Ukraine 3 years ago. They also did fundraising streams for trans people and Black Lives Matter. It is also worth mentioning that Ghost did a live stream where they showed off their antique collection and medical books. They also had... what the fuck? They also had live streams where they just went through their old sketchbooks or just drew in the stream. NSFW. Man. Okay. So, despite Ghost's requests for the fandom to not put their characters, their like really personal characters, in weird situations, some of the fans still do it, and especially on a certain website, I'm not gonna name it, but you probably know about it, a person has been posting a lot of AI stuff. There's also like 18 plus fanfics on fanfiction sites. I'm just gonna leave it there. Jel the Elf. Jel the Elf is a joke song and character made by Ghost. He was unleashed into the world in a beautiful song with the following lyrics. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Henry's dead and Nancy's dead and oh my fucking god. Wah. Jingle bells, ba ba ba. One day Ghost will get off their ass and finish case 2 part 1. Boom clap clap. Ba 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 ba. Somebody asked for a Christmas song. Here you fucking go. I am Jel the Elf. I wish that I was dead. This is a very special song. What fun it is to sing along with Jel the Elf. Other collaborations. The creator of the Iceberg says, Ghosts collab with other artists, Hanahaki Syndrome, etc. Hanahaki Syndrome isn't really a collab though, it was a commission song. I'm not sure what else this entry could be referring to. Shitposts. This entry may be referring to multiple things. Shitpost videos or songs Ghost used to post, or shitpost pictures they used to post on their Twitter, Tumblr, and stuff like that. Ghost used to post a lot of shitpost videos or songs on their channel. They actually started to post these shitposts on their Mars Mitzi account before completely removing the videos from the channel. I'm eating bugs, the American government's turning to shit. Kevin, I am not eating bugs. Fuck it, shall forever live in our hearts. Doxing. Oh dear. So, Ghost has been on the internet for a long time now, and they have shared some personal information about themselves. Unfortunately, some creepy people use this information to harass Ghost. I do not want to reveal more information on this topic for Ghost safety, but this topic will come up at the last tier. According to the creator of the Iceberg, Morse, also known as 11 Vane, has posted about this topic on their Tumblr somewhere. Okay, so I think this is where I will be ending part 1 of the Iceberg. I'm not sure when part 2 will release. I'm thinking of getting a better microphone because I'm recording the audio from my phone and sending them to my computer, and it's such a hassle, man. And it's not really worth it. So, yeah, I'm not sure when that will be, but stay tuned, and thank you for watching. May Tamari bless your soul. Much all love, Tamari.